photography became this idea of, in a sense, receding into myself, into kind of exploring a sort of sense of like place in it's like sense of place, and like in a sense, making sort of getting my own foothold in the world. And in that sense, like my first sort of project was it wasn't a project. I was seeing this girl called Liz, and I did this project, which is I photographed her for 7 years. And for me, the photography became this idea of, in a sense, receding into myself, into kind of exploring a sort of sense of like place in it's like sense of place, and like in a sense, I was working with I was going to Dharamsala, which is like a Tibetan capital, like little Lhasa you would call it, like in India. I was sort of trying to engage the Tibetan community there and photographing them, making portraits. I did this project called Transit, where I would like make portraits. I would take portraits from Dharamsala and I would take it to New Delhi, because these kids when they would study in schools in Dharamsala, they would study Tibetan schools, and when they would come down to the city, it's a completely different landscape for them, a completely different reality. And in that sense, I wanted to sort of bring in that kind of displacement by taking the portraits and putting it up on the roads, and the cars would run over it every day, and the images would sort of disappear into the tar, like in a sense, like sort of get like static, and there was like running kind of marks on it. My work the project that I'm currently working on is called The Hotel, and it's a project that's based in Gangtok, Sikkim, where my parents live. My parents, they run a hotel. They started in early 1990s, and so basically me, I grew up in that hotel. We're helping my parents wash the dishes. My mom does the kitchen, my dad does the restrooms, and like my brother also like sort of helps with the counter and all that stuff. And so basically I grew up in that hotel, sort of helping my parents. And in a sense, for me, like I moved away from home in 2004 and sort of came to Delhi and lived there for 10 years. And I came to Rhode, and I was sort of, in a sense, like my relationship with home like changed. In a sense, I became from this guy who was one of the staff members, to become this other son, an educated guy who was no longer, in a sense, entitled to do that or expected to do that work. I guess for me, this idea of sense of reiteration, repetition in the reiteration of the same idea in different ways, and how that manifests within the photograph is, in a sense, this idea of temporary, but like still in different. Like every time you go back, it's in a sense different. I don't think I'm photographing in a very structured style. I don't think so. I guess I'm more toying with the idea of boredom, and how does that play within. It's almost like drawing in a sense, and I'm not. It's like maybe I'm being formal, but I'm unconsciously formal in that sense. I'm like just making things and photographing things that arise purely out of boredom, and not necessarily directed at this. This is what I want to say, and that really sort of comes through. That structure comes through rather for me in the sense of editing and working in this book sequence, and that in a sense amplifies those kind of formal aspects within the photographs. Yeah.